young white men are turning to toxic influences like Nick Fuentes because they've been sacrificed on the altar of diversity. So now women are starting to notice that after pretty much ostracizing men for so long, that the men are going towards the few places they got left that don't treat them like crap. So they end up in the arms of Andrew Tate, of Nick Fuentes. Now, Nick Fuentes, I'm starting to wonder if all of the stuff that pretty much turned him into a meme over the years was just a glowy act. It was all just a homosexual op, because he has been destroying everybody lately. I was not expecting Nick Fuentes to get anywhere near as big as he did. But now that he is pretty much the new big guy, he's going to be the new Andrew Tate. Now Tate is pretty much he's pretty much dealt with. He's been having his legal issues. He cried like a bitch after losing that boxing fight. Lost a lot of alpha cred there. So they pretty much got Tate out of the picture. So now they're going to move to attacking Fuentes. So it wasn't Fuentes, the guy got blown by destiny, allegedly, yeah. Gen Z men have been sacrificed on the altar of diversity and sending them into the arms of reactionary influences like Nick Fuentes, who prey on their grievances. I love how it's considered preying on their grievances for pointing this stuff out, for noticing. A recent article in Compact Magazine about the plight of young white men in hiring and admissions revealed how, over the last decade, they've been forced by the DI regime to pay for the advantages conferred upon their fathers and grandfathers. And what advantages? Because they were literally the best for the job? I guess that's an advantage. If you're in a competition, being better than the other guy is an advantage, is it not? I mean, okay, I guess I could believe that. But yeah, like this is going to blow up so hard in their face. What do you think is going to happen when all of these white men who've been forced out of the legacy workplace, when they make their own companies, when they start their own businesses, because that is the only option available to them anymore, because no one's going to hire them because they don't check any diversity quota boxes. When they form their own companies and start outperforming and taking over the old companies that rejected them, when all the DEI hires show up to their doors with their hands out, what are the odds that they're going to be willing to play along? Because I bet there's going to be a lot of justified resentment there. Like, nope, sorry. I'm not going to say I only hire white men because that's illegal. But I only hire the best people for the job, who just coincidentally happen to be white men. Hey, guess what? We're going to be doing the same shit you are now. We're going to be looking out for our own. Nope, we got no charity to give you anymore. The way they were passed up by colleges and workplaces was completely unfair. Gen Z white men grew up knowing the system was stacked against them. No wonder they're bitter, if not reactionary. You know what? These guys like to fearmonger, but you know what's the worst thing these Gen Z men are going to do? They're just not going to pay into the system. They're going to be all about parallel alternative systems and just not playing your game altogether. When you need some warm bodies for a coming war, you're not going to find any of these white men around either. Like, yeah, you want me to throw my life away for a shithole country that basically put me in the poorhouse? Nah, sorry. Why don't you ask the they-thems to fight for you? Yeah, these guys are just going to, walk away. It's the only solution. Exactly. They're going to be as minimalist as possible, just not participate in the system. We should roll back the DI bureaucracy for the sake of meritocracy, but you need yet another reason. If you need yet another reason, how about stopping white teen boys from falling down the rabbit hole of grievance politics? Yeah, you know what this is? Oh shit, they're about to do to us what we've been doing to them. Oh crap! We've gone far enough now. Hey guys, let's put a stop to this. This has gone on long enough. Right about the time when we're about to see some retribution, now we've gone far enough. Yeah, let's put a stop to this. A funny coincidence that this happens right when they're about to get dished back some of the stuff they dished out, right? They didn't want to talk about stopping or slowing down or rolling things back until the other side started doing the same thing to them that they were doing for years. Now it's suddenly bad, huh? Well, guess what? Until you guys are on the receiving end of what you've been doing to us for equally as long, it's not going to be far enough. Writer Jacob Savage hit a nerve with his compact article, The Lost Generation. Yeah, that was a long article, too. I was debating covering it, but it was literally just all of the talking points I've had for years. But since it was coming from the mouth of an industry insider, it I guess has more weight. But I saw no reason to cover that article because it was literally all of my talking points. You've all heard this before. Which rattles through startling statistics showing just how large a hit the white millennial men took in the professional representation. White men in tenure-track humanities positions at Harvard fell from 39% to 18%. White men working entry-level TV writers fell from 48% to 12%. No, that I think might be a good thing because now they might actually get a useful job. But then again, if they wanted to be part of Hollywood, maybe the odds of that aren't very high. At Yale's history department, Savage reports there are 10 white males over the age of 70, but of 16 tenure-track millennials, just one white man. As a reminder, the results of a current year -5 U.S. census showed 61% of the U.S. population is white, making 30% of the population white males. So when are we going to have a quota for white males like we do for everybody else? As Savage points out, older white men who were around when racial discrimination was more palpable were already established when DEI came down the pipe in the mid-2010s and did not take a professional hit. Their sons and grandsons did. Unless they played the nepotism game correctly. If you were 40 in the current year -11, born in 74, beginning your career in the late 90s, you were already established. If you were 30 in 2014, you've hit a wall. That is not incorrect. But although there have been a few stories of karma where white executives who supported DEI lost their own jobs to DEI and then cried like the bitches they were and tried to sue over it. But for the most part, yeah. I mean, the guys that are already up there, they're probably going to get to retire and deploy their golden parachutes. It's all the new guys coming up that are going to have a rough time. Although I would say, definitely focus on starting your own business if you can. Because what do you think is going to happen to all of these legacy businesses as the few remaining competent white men retire or die? The people behind them in the power structure are all the diversity hires. Those companies do not have a future. You do not want to tie your future to those sinking ships. Maybe a mooch off of a sinking ship for a little while if you have no other choice, but focus on building your own because they're all going down. Until the Trump administration began to take aim at DI initiatives, a slew of the executive orders in the second term, the machine cranked along, disadvantaging white men in the name of justice. And now those same white men are going to dish out some retribution in the name of actual justice. As a member of Gen Z myself, I noticed the leg up certain groups seem to have in college admissions and again in hiring. If you weren't a legacy or extremely well-connected Nepo baby, being a white boy seemed to be the least advantageous demographic when application season came along. And that's why you notice a growing number of them just starting to be just as tribalistic as these other groups are. They're really going to regret doing this. Like, seriously. It's undeniable that the United States is guilty of systemic oppression, and in the not-so-distant past, the problem is that today's boys don't remember those times. No, the U.S. is guilty of systemic oppression right now. I mean, you're talking about it. Millennials, especially Gen Z young men, only recall a system being stacked against them. Their fathers, their white male managers were already well established, yet they were being asked to pay for the advantages their predecessors are currently enjoying. And that's where a lot of the boomer hate comes from, yeah. Imposing new systems of discrimination in order to atone for the past is a flawed approach, and it's causing an explosion of resentment that's tainting the future. Oh, now you notice. Okay. This is what we were saying years ago, but you guys didn't agree until you started seeing some retribution coming your way. So now you agree all of a sudden. Now that it's going to be your turn on the receiving end, now suddenly, oh yeah, that's two wrongs don't make a right, guys. You got to be the bigger man and just forgive us. There's much ado about the ascent of Nick Fuentes, who spews slurs right and left and offends every cultural sensibility for sport. Basically, what we all should be doing, because anyone who gets triggered by words deserves to be laughed at. Fuentes, who has been called out, the older generation for completely betraying and selling out the youth, has seen his following quintuple over a year. He was able to break through the suppression, yeah. His predominantly young male fans have been seduced by politics of grievance. Hey, you're not supposed to use our tactics against us. That's our tactic. They've been trained to walk around like perpetual victims. That's our tactic. And there's a tiny kernel of truth in the sense that the world is stacked against them. Did you even read what you just wrote? Can you call it a tiny kernel of truth when you're talking about literally ruining their lives? Yeah, all that was done to them is they had their entire lives and futures stolen from them. It's just a tiny kernel of truth. I don't know why you're so mad. No big deal. Now, they grew up looking over their shoulder, wondering whether they would be better at college or have a different job, if not for their immutable characteristics, whether they were being held back by their glass ceiling of DEI. And unlike when it comes to feminism, guys don't need anyone to help them break through. They'll do the breaking themselves. And that's what everyone else is scared of. Omega has never had a perfect meritocracy, and we moved further away from that when we infused DEI into the process. At least you're noticing that. That's a plus. And nobody's better off for it. Those who benefit from the system wonder whether they are where they are because of advantages conferred upon them, and those who are handicapped by it walk around with a chip on their shoulder. Oh, dude, so many of these DEI hires are surprised to find out that they're DEI hires. A lot of them are too stupid to even know. And a lot of them are not even gonna find out until they're put in a position where they actually have to perform and they find out they're not able to. That's going to be when all these companies collapse, when all of those white boomers and Gen Xers retire or die and the companies get passed to the DEI hires. Man, even the AI bubble popping may not be able to hold a candle to that collapse. Well, it's time to orient ourselves back to the direction of merit, if not for the pride of young Americans, then to stem the concerning rise of reactionary grievance politics. Okay, so how is that going to help the current batch of Gen Z men who've already been fucked over, who are already years behind because of you? So you're just going to sacrifice them to help the generation that comes after them? Because you're scared of what they might do to you? No, I'm sorry, man. I think the best solution to this is to just let the Gen Z men fix the problem on their own. Because again, unlike feminists, unlike women, men don't need to beg the government for handouts to get ahead. All we need to do is stop giving handouts to other people. We could just keep all of our skills and resources to ourselves. That's all it's going to take. And I look forward to seeing it happen.